Never shall innocent blood be shed, yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill. Do not rape. Do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
For if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we gonna take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution? The depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, you guys.
It's that time of the week again.
Yep.
Time to complain about life and the world and women.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday
We
night
get to do a
special.
little bit of ranting, too.
Ooh, fun.
Elena's not here for that.
Oh, she will be most displeased that she misses this one.
See, you guys do it too. Like,
Well, of course. Men like to rant about things, too. So tonight, I've been noticing, well, there are trends that go through media, the world, themes that arise that they've always been there. They've been talked about in the past, but there's a theme lately that is kind of in ascendancy. Are men and women really different? And how are they different? I think I have to give much of the, or a lot of credit about this to Helen Andrews, because she wrote an article, I forget where it was, but it created a stir about men and women, and her theme was wokeness is feminism. And feminism, when it goes into the workplace, it changes everything. And women come in and, okay, now how the rules change. Eric Weinstein has talked about this. He's talked about it for a while too, but more and more people are talking about it. Are men and women different? Is there a reason for the supposed pay gap? Or is it just discrimination? Okay, all these themes are just coming back together again. And I think this might be principle zero. In other words, everything is dependent on this. For those out there who are in the belief that women can do anything, they can be anything, they can do any male job, there is no difference between men and women. We can renegotiate our relationships, man to woman, and whatever works for you, because you know what? Sometimes men are better at this, sometimes women are better at this. We don't know. We're all equal. We'll figure it out.
no, Steve, there's a famous lyrics to that song that I absolutely hate. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
And where does that come from, Nick?
Feminism.
No. What's the source of that song?
All if I know, it was a woman singing it.
Comes from the musical Oklahoma.
Oh.
You know, where the wind comes sweeping off the plain?
Mm.
Rogers and Hammerstein. It's a musical from the 40s or 50s, I think.
Oh. That was an early message brought in. Okay.
You need the old fart to tell you your history.
Yeah. Whatever.
So the background thoughts, my mind has been going through the how the church has treated women. And this is okay. I'm focused more on the Catholic Church, but Protestant churches are parallel. The movement has been in parallel. Since the 1960s, women, okay, there's been an acceleration. Yes, it absolutely existed before that, but it was growing. And in the 1960s, we kind of embraced this new idea of equality of the sexes, equality of, well, we didn't say it this way, but equality of outcome. The only reason women are not doing as well as men, don't have the same opportunities, is because men have repressed them. So, okay, guys, let's stop repressing women. And you know what? Let's incentivize them to move into these things. Uh, more STEM fields, and let's give them a leg up so they can act. We've repressed them for too long, because it's not through their nature that they can't do the things that men do. It's only because of socialization. And we bought into this. I bought into it. I certainly did.
Never did. I never did.
Okay, Nick's smarter than me.
No, I just thought this stuff was nuts growing up. I,
How about you, Plutarch? Did you ever buy into it?
Yeah, a little bit, particularly when I was younger. Um, you know, I mean, on one aspect, you kind of look at it and you go, "This is ridiculous," but you don't really understand what it is. You're particularly when you're younger, you don't really understand what it's being sold, and when it's sold to you by authority figures, particularly as a child, you go, "Well, okay, the smart people that I trust told me it's true," and I mean, psychologists talk about this. Under six, kids are just sponges; they take in everything. Okay, obviously that disappears as you get older, but yeah, I did for a while, but you keep seeing it fail and not work, and you have two choices. You can confront reality or delude yourself. And that's where I got with it
Oh,
eventually, but
great. That's the choice. How many people confront reality? And how many people dismiss evidence and just go on believing what they believe?
oh, the answer is less than 5% can confront reality. What the actual percentage is hard to say and gets squishy on definitions, but most people will never confront reality.
Steve, when I was younger, this is how my thought process worked, even from a young age. You know, I understood history, I understood the stories, went to Sunday school, heard about the great men in the Bible, and, you know, there's a consistent theme. It was, the men went out to war, the men worked, the men brought home the bacon, the money, the men ruled. The heroes of the Bible were men, in history, pretty much men. And then I realized all the people had stable families when the father went out to work and came home, or worked on the farm, came home, had a wife that took care of the kids. And, obviously they're built like a house, women are. And guess what? Are their breasts just things to be fondled? No, you nurse a child. And that it always made me kind of weird thinking about baby formula. Even as a kid, it's like, but why, when you're you have breasts that are supposed to do that function? So obviously, they're women are domestic, are for the household, more domestic creatures, not like animals, but domestic. Men went out and fought for war, were built differently. Always heard the joke like you fight like a girl. Then I started noticing families that kind of went off and did kind of crazy thing, not the crazy things, but mother went working, and they had all these weird newfangled ideas. They didn't really have a stable home. And I saw, families that came here from other countries, and they had a more stable household, and they had more traditional ideals of what family was. So quickly, when I became, converted to, Protestantism or whatever, I was surprised by all the crazy crap I heard about women pastors and all this other crazy crap. I'm like, this is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's happening and has happened in the church really over the last 50 years. So I think young men, Gen Z, just fed up with everything. They got this attitude of, fuck it. No, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this. And they're kind of not attracted to the women they see, and because the antics and the behavior of the women they see, it's not working. They know, yeah, I can do things. I don't really have a motivation to do things because what's in it for me? I mean, do I get a life? Do I get a family? Do I get a house? I can do all these things. But then the women are out there saying, we don't need you, men. Okay, well, good luck to you. But they are not believing that men and women are equal. The indoctrination is not working on them.
Well, you have to pluck out your eyes, basically.
Okay, Steve,
Like, nope.
go ahead, Nick.
I mean, the light of nature teaches you these things. You basically have to pluck out your eyes and replace them with the gynocentric lenses. And that's basically what the schools and society's been doing to a lot of men for the past 50 years or so, 60 years.
Yeah.
So, Steve,
Yeah.
your topic is pretty timely because there was a revelation this morning on the Twitter sphere.
I said it's a growing topic.
Okay. So, and I'm actually working on a response to a Rachel Wilson comment on this topic, and it's typical me, lots of words. But so the revelation was that, if you guys remember, a few months ago, we had another cat fight on the internet amongst the trad wife influencers. One of them was it was Sarah Stock, I think is her name, or was her name. She's now married, and it came out today that up until the day that the guy proposed, she was railing a married dude, railing her married boss, is how I'm gonna. Okay, so she's been seeing this guy, telling him that, yes, baby, I'm going to be exclusive with you. Meanwhile, she's getting her back blown out by another dude. Okay. And
I'm shocked.
I know, right?
Shocker.
For the record, I'm shocked.
And I have, okay.
This sounds familiar. This sounds really familiar, Plutarch.
I know, right? So Shu, yes. Shu, part of my problem right now with my response to Rachel is that I have about 3 different thought threads that I want to chase down with this, and I can't decide which one to chase down. But there is an interesting thing that Rachel talks about, and I will pull it up, and well, I can just read it to you guys. Rachel says, It feels like every time I give one of these women the benefit of the doubt, I'm just playing the fool. Nobody's perfect. I'm not morality policing, but can't they ever just be who they tell you they are just for once?
No, they can't.
Right. They
The
can't. Now,
TradCon. It's the TradCon.
it's
and
the
mask to
TradCon.
wear.
Right. And the reality is women are different. Oh, there, I'm just gonna there, Steve. I'm gonna answer the question in the title. And the very first sentence of my reply that I am gonna keep, no, they can't. Because if they did tell you who they really were, you would shun and ostracize them, which for a supposedly Christian woman is a punishment worse than death. Okay. So we have, but Rachel, she's noticing something here. And I like to see this. He's noticing that these women reach these heights of clout, and then something comes out and you find out that they're horrible people. Okay. So we on the red pill, on the not really the red pill. We in the red pill, we understand this. Okay, we understand what's going on. Nick, I think when the whole spat was happening, I think you were up and you just kind of rolled your eyes at it, because I think that was you on Twitter who was doing that. But there is this belief. And Shu, this is one of the threads I was trying to decide if I want to tug on or not, but Steve, not all women are like that. Surely we can find a woman who is a virtuous leader of women who will slay the demon of female nature for us, because only a woman can do it. And so, yes, the men are, broadly speaking, not looking at the standard feminist woman. But what that's done is we've kind of moved to these false prophetesses who are offering men this, see, I'm the pure princess, come follow me. I'm a Christian. I say the right words. Meanwhile, I got my back blown out by my married boss. And I'm just not going to tell you that.
This is ringing really personal for me.
As well it should, Nick.
Well, okay. I got to pull us back from this direction.
I know. I derailed, but
it's a derailment. Yes, there are bad women out there.
Well, it wasn't the bad men. My actual point was to say even the supposed Christians, that like the men who are walking away I'm seeing this movement towards, these Christian women will save us. Dear God, no, they won't.
But there are bad Christian men too.
Sure.
Plenty of examples. Bad Christian women. Okay, fine. I guess on a shallow, if I was shallow, I'd say, see, bad man, bad Christian man, bad Christian woman. See, they're the same. If you stay at that level, that's the absurd conclusion you're going to come to. Nevertheless, in the church, let's just look at another aspect. In the churches, young men are not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Or the more masculine young men are not having anything to do with that. And they are voicing this truth. Men and women are different. The church is not voicing this truth. What group has been voicing this truth from the very beginning?
The red pill.
Zero. Yeah,
but
that would be right.
But Steve, I want to stop you on something, because we've been wrestling with this data thing, and I think you might have actually just explained it. men are joining some churches, specifically, as we've discussed, churches that offer a sort of more pro-masculine message. Okay. But you just said something interesting. You said, well, it's not really the masculine men who are joining the churches. And I think you've actually just squared I think you've actually just closed the circle on this. Yes, more men are joining churches. They are not the masculine men. They are men who are looking to upgrade their masculinity.
Well, and they're men looking for a unicorn. Let's be honest here.
Yes. Sorry, I know that was a derailment, but it's something that we've been noodling on for a while, and I think you might have just closed the loop on it. Is that yes, some men are joining the church, but they're not the men that the women want. And so, because the disconnect here is, if more men are joining churches, why aren't more men getting married? Right? That's the disconnect. Because as you say, that's what the churches are pushing. They're pushing men to get married. They want us to believe men and women are separately equal. I'm not entirely sure how that all works, but the men aren't buying it.
Okay. Well, what I want to review is a video that John Stossel put out. It's not Christian. I mean, I like John Stossel. I've watched him for, I don't know, 20 years off and on. I kind of like the guy. But he put out a video, so it's secular. He's kind of mainstream, or much closer to mainstream than us. He's talking about this, and he does something on this. Very few churches are doing this theme. So let's look at this from a secular standpoint and see what he says. And it's going to prompt a lot of opportunities for discussion.
Am I sexist? When I look at men and women, I see differences beyond the obvious physical ones. But when I was young, I was taught those don't exist. Experts said, except for a few physical traits, there's no difference between men and women.
Aren't women in general better nurturers?
No. Next question.
Feminist leaders said the only reason men are in charge of most things is sexism.
What's wrong with her? She's a woman, isn't she?
And there was plenty of that.
Who does it all? The laundry, the dishes, and tropical fishes.
Gosh, that's what mommies are for.
Sisterhood is powerful. Join us now.
Thank God for the women's movement. And I believe that when they said, if we raised kids in gender-neutral ways, men and women would behave similarly. I believed that until I had a boy and a girl.
Here's the top 3 lies you've probably heard about mushrooms from brands who've...
Now I understand that most boys and girls are just different, and our attempts at gender-neutral parenting didn't change much.
Tonight, a touchy subject.
Years ago, I produced this ABC special about that.
Eye-opening research suggests more women can read feelings, more men can read maps. Should gender influence our place in society?
Kids know boys and girls are different.
Girls are glory. Boys are a pain in the butt.
But many adults do not want even scientific research talked about.
This is harmful and damaging to our daughters' lives and to our mothers' lives. And I'm very angry about it.
Years later, I still find most people, men and women, avoid talking about differences, but not Heather McDonald. You got 500,000 views on Twitter saying,
it is not a product of systemic misogyny that males brought us the scientific revolution, that they circumnavigated the globe.
If we weren't so insane, it would be perfectly obvious that there are innate differences between males and females.
She says it's why men explored the world, not women. But that was because their societies wouldn't allow it.
That's true, but they haven't been doing much in the interim, frankly.
Yikes, that's a strong statement. But
something to say there, Steve?
That's just hilarious. Oh, yes, now women can do anything. And they're still not doing much of anything.
I maintain because they're not interested in it. But Steve,
we just go ahead.
Now I have to ask the question. If women are not interested in it and gender neutral training and indoctrination for their entire lives can't make them interested in it, is that not a fundamental difference?
No, of course
Oh,
not. We just need to try harder to get women
man,
involved in these things.
No. So this is what the red pill actually reveals in dating, right? The more a guy, he just tries to logic a girl, convince her, display, hey, I'm a good provider, I'm really smart, I got this great degree, blah, blah, blah. He might be a little nerdy or something, but ostensibly a great guy. And she's really attractive, and there's nothing he can do. He might even go for years being friend zone, trying to convince this woman to date him, but she never will.
I think he's not trying hard enough to convince her and show her what a great guy he is.
Wasn't the same type of thing that the indoctrination they're trying to do?
Yes.
In a way. There you go. Fighting against nature.
Nick, you're taking this whole are men and women theme. Are they different? You're taking that theme and you're bringing it down to the dating and the sexuality. Does everything have to come down to that for you?
What? No, I'm not interested right now.
I'm just using a woman's tactics, kind of change the goalpost, kind of ancillary, and say it's all about sex. That's all you want from me.
And I'd go rent I'd do a rental instead.
Now, what you would do is go fishing.
Yeah, maybe, but no. I'm good.
Okay, let's keep going.
But it is true that most startups are run by men. Most world leaders are men. Maybe the world would be more peaceful if women were in charge.
Women and children have long paid the price for wars, started and waged by men.
Women leaders must step up.
Women want peace.
The world would be better, safer if
If
women
ruled the world. And that hasn't really proved to be the case.
Here's Hillary Clinton talking about the killing of Gaddafi.
We came, we saw, he died.
Okay,
Men
hold
drove
on.
the 30 Years' War.
Hold on. We have examples of what happens when women run something. The Girl Scouts. What happened to the Girl Scouts? It became so damn woke, transgender, wacky, rainbow. I mean, damn, it was all women in charge. That thing went down the tubes. Oh, let's look at the Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts, as long as women were kept out, it operated pretty well. There were some effeminate men who caused some problems. Unfortunately, that was the beginning of the end. Yes, they were dealing with that. But then we let the women in. Oh, we can have girl Boy Scouts. And women came in more of a equal role. The Boy Scouts went to shit, and it doesn't really exist anymore. It was destroyed. Once you gotta understand, once the women came in, it didn't work anymore. And so, men were discriminating. Yeah, so it was good for boys. And now the women came in, and now everything is gone. Everything. Didn't benefit women, didn't benefit girls, didn't benefit men. It just got destroyed. Oh, yes, let's bring women in. Let's let women rule the world because it'll be a better place. I think not.
Yeah. It's contrary to their nature. They're not meant to rule. And when they try to rule, destruction comes.
But Nick, the argument, and I think Stossel's going to make it here, is that men start wars too.
Yeah. They do. And
There's a question here, I think, and maybe I'm getting ahead of Stossel here, maybe not, that the reasons why men start wars are fundamentally different. And that maybe that there is some modicum of, I don't know, usefulness to the wars that men start. See, women will start a war because you pissed her off. That's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, bombing the Middle East left, right, and center. Why? Because they made her angry. She didn't bomb the parts of the Middle East that were funding her foundation. She bombed the parts that would not do as they were told. A lot of the wars that men have fought have been over two things: resources and, frankly, religion, faith. You've got the Crusades and all of that. But most wars throughout history are fought over resources, but the ones that men start.
Yeah. Okay, I'll grant you that. But on the other side, they're fought of defense of family and soil. You want to invade me and take my stuff? This is mine. I'm providing for my family, and you're invading my space, threatening my family. Therefore, I'm going to have to go to war. That's the reason men go to war in defense.
Right. I'm talking about the people who start the wars, because women start wars. We're talking about women starting wars. And do men start wars? Yes. A man started the war in Ukraine. Sorry, guys. That's just the truth. But why did he start it? Well, he said why he started it. He wants the resources. Okay. Now, the Ukrainians turned around and said, no, we're not going to give it up. I'm not making a political statement about the war, who's right or wrong here. So, Steve, yes, you're correct. But the defensive war side always comes second to the guys starting the war. And that's actually the argument that the women made when they said, oh, it'll be better to have women in charge because women won't start wars. It was women won't start wars, right? That was the argument they made.
But interesting fact, across all the world wars, right? How many people have died? I had it on my Twitter. Versus how many millions of babies have been aborted.
Oh, right. It's something like 3% of all the people who died in World War II were, and versus the number of 3 or 4%. I can't remember. It's insane. Versus the number of aborted babies.
I don't agree with that.
But women are kind in war. What do you call the family court system?
So Steve, about 400,000 Americans died in World War So
I don't
the
care.
numbers were
I don't care about the Americans. I care about the number of people worldwide who were killed in World War II.
well, okay.
And
The
throw in
reason
China. So we're up to what? 70 million?
killed in war in World War II? No,
Thereabouts.
no, not 70 million, not even close.
How many? Okay, I'm including the Holodomor, the number of Russians soldiers that died, the
8
number
million.
of Jews that died, the number of Brits, Germans, Americans, Chinese during the war on poverty or whatever, the great.
Well, the problem is, you're not really dealing with a war now, because the two big events, the Holodomor and Stalin's purges and the Chinese purges, the Great Leap Forward, all came like 10 years later.
Let's just total them all up.
Well, you're working.
It's an absurd thing. Okay, 70, 80 million. How many? Compare this to how many abortions there have been worldwide since 1960.
Steve, what was the number of worldwide abortions? Something like 6. No, it was U.S. abortions. See, the reason I went for the U.S. numbers is because the numbers were a U.S. to U.S. comparison.
Okay,
so
you can do U.S. to U.S., but worldwide to worldwide, they're neck and neck.
Right. Well, okay, Steve, not really. It was 60 million abortions in the U.S. versus 400,000 dead men in the U.S. for World War II.
Okay.
If you take those numbers and you roll in all of the Soviet China, Soviet Russia, all the stuff they did, you're going to get a number that's about 100 million. But now you have to pull in all the abortions that were done in all those places. And China's abortion rates make ours look like they're tame. They make us, So the reality is that the number of abortions since the 1960s, because the Chinese started doing it too with the one-child policy in large numbers, you're probably pushing 500 million with a short stick. So 5 to 1. Like there is no parity here, and there is no way you're going to create data.
That's my point.
Yeah,
the number. At parity at a conservative, but actually, women have killed more lives than men have.
Sure,
collectively,
by a lot.
Women have killed more lives than men have in the last 100 years.
It's about 5 to 1 is the answer. Women have killed five lives for every one.
The world's gonna be more peaceable if women are in power. You think that nature's going to change very much to give them more power, or is it going to get worse? I think that cruelty will carry on.
I don't know, Nick. Life is so wonderful now for me, given all the gains women have made in equality over the past 50 years. I just can't imagine the utopia it will be in another 20, 30 years if they continue making the gains they've made so far.
Well, look what's happened with the DEI crap. And it's like you're going to either believe it's going to end up, if you allow this stuff to attain power, this wokeness, this feminism, to get more and more power. We're all equal, but no, reality, they're superior to you. And if you don't, kowtow to them, they will put you down. They will put you in your place. They will cancel you. They will destroy you. In fact, what do you think is happening in Britain right now with that pussy Starmer?
I'm glad I don't live there.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Well, let's keep going.
Men drove the 100 Years' War. Women aren't responsible for the endless Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Maybe it would be better if women managed governments.
It's very curious. Some of these The Green parties, the female-dominated parties in Europe, they're the war parties. They're all for continuing to arm Ukraine. They were all for the involvement in the Serbian conflict. So it's curious, a lot of the female EU politicians are no more pacifistic than some of their colleagues, male colleagues.
It's men, MacDonald points out, who
developed ideas of constitutional government, of due process, of human rights. Those are much more powerful than the 30 Years' War. Yes, there's endless savagery in Africa between tribes.
Stock up this Earth Day with Paleo Valley's Buy One.
by men.
By men, that's right. But I don't see what the alternative is.
Men, she says, have more
passion for novelty, competitiveness, aggression. You have to be a very ideologically dominated parent not to notice that there are differences between male and female children almost from the start, as far as levels of aggression, the types of toys that they gravitate towards. Males have a greater predilection towards insanity, towards like really stupid behavior. I hear these motorcycles outside of my apartment in New York. I know what the sex of who's riding those, you idiots. There's obviously individual exceptions. There's highly aggressive, competitive females. And highly nurturing, empathetic males. Of course.
Taking a step back from their own careers to care for their families.
But we're talking about averages. And the average male, there's a greater chance that he's going to be a risk taker and a seeker of knowledge.
That's why men run most companies, she says. Not because sexism prevents women from advancing.
Nobody's keeping females out. They just aren't interested. Google is desperate to hire more females. Nobody's preventing females from doing an AI startup. And nobody's stripping females of venture capital funding, as we saw with the fraudster Elizabeth Holmes, who had everybody under the sun shoveling billions of dollars at her. Everybody wants there to be more female entrepreneurs in whether it's biomedicine or whatnot. But they don't have that same drive to stay up till 3 a.m. eating cold pizzas, coding. That drive to conquer facts and data is disproportionately male.
I bought this strange Zara dress.
I'm trying on 6 spring dresses at Kohl's.
Hey guys, I have another really big shopping haul.
What do I see females doing these days? They're influencers.
I love to use a really fluffy brush.
They're talking about makeup.
These are the colors. They're so pretty.
They're talking about fashion.
Okay, let's talk about this lace leather skirt.
Whoa, is MacDonald saying women are inferior, less useful for society?
They are very useful for raising children.
Well, that's obvious. She also knows many women have accomplished remarkable things. Mary Anderson invented windshield wipers. Marie Curie won 2 Nobel Prizes for her work on radiation. This woman became a billionaire, starting the betting site Kalshi. MacDonald cites women in the arts.
Edith Wharton, one of the great novelists. We've got some great female composers, Fanny Mendelssohn, Cécile Licard. I want to hear all of them, absolutely. But I am not going to try to tear down an institution because it is predominantly male.
One such institution is the university.
So basically, there's a few outlier women, so therefore all women should be like that.
Obviously, the rest of the women don't achieve those levels because of male oppression.
Oh.
Well, there's an interesting parallel here that she points out. The outlier women tend to be defective men, and the outlier men tend to be defective women. You know, the stay-at-home dad versus the Elizabeth Holmes example, right? And so the outliers are always pointing back at the other side. But ironically, that proves the rule. The rule is women are broadly different, and the outliers are the ones who go the other way. And somebody will tell me, "Oh, but what about the men who are so aggressive we have to lock them up?" Yeah, okay, unrestrained masculinity versus unrestrained femininity. You're just going further. They're going further in the direction that their gender would suspect. That's not the interesting part of the outlier.
There's a big difference there. When you get an outlier man who is a threat to society, in many cases, other men band together, or the laws will put that guy away.
Mm-hmm.
Men will band together. Ooh, this is a bad man. He's threatening my family. Therefore, he's got to go. Before our modern times, that happened. Men took care of that scary man. Women didn't really police the outlier woman, the aggressive outlier woman. They tried, they talked behind their back, but there was no restraint there.
Well, historically, women never had to, because the women, even when they were talking amongst their friend groups, the women they were talking to were similarly restrained by their men. So there was never any reason at any point in human development for women to develop their own policing mechanisms against the extremes. People will say, "Oh, well, they used to. They used to police for the shame of the whore." To which I would say, not really. The women did that as a result of men doing it. The women realized that they could gain access to better men by signaling that they don't like the whore. But it was always men who imposed the consequences on the whore.
Yeah, and Steve, regarding your point about these violent men, and again, what is we have perhaps a lot more of them these days, and there's a couple of reasons: lack of a cultural cohesion, lack of a people and a place, but also even before that, even more primary than that, is the lack of a nuclear family. They're raised by single moms, and single moms raise generally defective kids. And they're more prone
defective sons and daughters.
Yep.
Do you think the awfuls, you know what that term is? Have you heard that term, awful?
Average white urban feminist liberal.
Average white female urban liberal.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, do you think those women were raised with strong fathers?
Nah, no.
Good. When a father is not present in the upbringing of a child, the child will be rebellious, whether it be a male child or a female child. They will rebel in different ways. Men may become lawbreakers and criminals. Women will rebel in social justice ways or promiscuous ways. That's my observation. I'm sure I pissed off a lot of feminists if they even bothered to listen to our stream.
Why would they listen to us? Actually, I can't explain why feminists might listen to us. Women love being triggered. They love the negative emotions. They love it. So
drama queens, not drama kings, right?
exactly.
If you're a drama king, you know what that means, right?
You're just a drama queen in a male skin suit. That's what that means.
Exactly.
All right. Ready to continue?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which she says has been taken over by women claiming victimhood.
I want to make sure. I understand.
What about our protection right now?
The claims of unsafety, of danger, of jeopardy are completely hysterical neuroses in the first place. You now have portraits of the greatest white male scientists being taken down because it might make female medical students feel unsafe to look upon the greatest minds of medical science.
More women, she says, are against free speech.
When you ask people, which do you value more, academic freedom, there's no overlap. A vast majority of males choose the pursuit of truth, academic freedom, whatever the cost. The females favor emotional.
Okay, I want to say something here, and this is key. I think this is a key point. She says, males pursue truth. Find it interesting that the Bible says, never let women teach. Because teaching requires a basis in the truth. You have to, in order to successfully teach someone, you have to teach them something that is true, insofar as we understand the truth to be. And then as we discover new truths, which is what men do, we incorporate those truths into our teachings and we teach them to other men. Teaching is merely a transmission mechanism. It is the pursuit of truth that gives us things to teach. And so the Bible has an absolute prohibition against women teaching, because women, and she just said it right here, are not interested in truth. They are interested in, well, it's right on the screen here, safe people, safe person, safe space, right? They're interested in safe spaces.
Yeah. And on top of that, you'll notice churches that go down this road where they allow women elders, then women pastors, then all of a sudden they're LGBTQ plus affirming. This is a safe space. All are welcome here. You'll see that trend in the churches once they go down that.
Exactly. So what she's really saying here is that only men have the interest in pursuing the truth. Again, this is not to say that women have no utility. It's just this isn't one of their useful features. Exactly. Ask your husband, the Apostle Paul. It's exactly. So here's another interesting fact. All human advancement comes from one thing and one thing alone: constantly improving our understanding of the truth around us. Civilization is what it is today because men looked for more truth. I'm not going to say, a deeper truth. That's conspiracy thinking, and those people are whack jobs. They look for more truth. They look for a refined truth. They take what they can see and they think, oh, can I make this more accurate? Can I make this? Can I get a better understanding of what's going on here?
The problem with that is, if you're the first guy with an idea and no one else has that idea to voice that idea, that's risky.
Oh, very risky. Very, very risky. Yes. But as she said, also, men are built to take risks. And we know that's true from decades of research. It's what men are for. So, Steve, if truth is a necessary component of civilization, and only men are equipped to mentally take the risks, and only men are mentally equipped to teach the truths they discover after taking the risk to other men, what place do women have in this order? None.
Wait, I got a response to that from a woman's standpoint. La 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 la, can't hear you.
Again, it's not to say that women don't have usefulness, but their usefulness is not in keeping civilization running. It's in producing the next generation of people who will keep civilization running, the next generation of men who will keep civilization running. Okay. Not useless. And in fact, it's a very dignified role to take. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but it is that it is not these things. These things are not for you.
There's an old saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Sure.
Every ruler of the world had a mother. And if you want your progeny to achieve great things, you raise them. You be a mother and have 3, 4, 6 or more children. You are going to have such a profound impact on the world. Just being a mother, just raising your children, just training them, tending them. Yes, under the guidance of your husband, who is their father. Man, you can't. Oh, you're a smart woman. You should be a doctor. You should be a lawyer. Uh-huh. Great. Your impact on the world is trivial compared to being a mother and raising 3, 4, 5 children. And if you happen to raise all daughters, well, gee, 5 daughters, and if they each have 5, now 2 generations later, that's 25. And okay, it should propagate. And so, okay, you don't have an immediate impact, but Rome was not built in a day.
Okay.
Safety and equity.
Sorry, Nick, were you going to say something?
No, keep going. Well.
So what? Both are good qualities.
No, they're not. The university exists for the pursuit of truth.
Men and women, she says, should fight.
She basically just said what I was saying there. The university exists for the pursuit of truth, which she's kind of saying kick the women out of the university because women are not interested in the pursuit of truth, period. So they do not belong in institutions where that is the highest goal, theoretically. And look what they've done to those institutions. They've destroyed them to the point where, and I might be doing a stream on this in the near future, we are probably going to be better off setting up separate institutions where these rules are implemented.
Fight this trend.
It's going to take more parents willing to stand up for their sons who are getting screwed at academic institution after academic institution. It's going to take more CEOs not to be browbeaten by their wives.
By their wives?
Females are overwhelmingly far more left-wing.
I would say not just
What?
CEOs.
CEOs, these powerful men are browbeaten by their wives? Tell me it's not so.
Oh yeah. Pastors get browbeaten by their wives. Elders get browbeaten by their wives.
But
And I think a certain
hey,
French president did too, in more than one way.
Nick. Up until recently, women had no power in the world. Surely, 100 years ago, women were not browbeating their husbands, even if he was a rich and powerful man or a pastor of a church or a big politician. They weren't doing it back then, were they?
No, well, remember we talked about William Googe in his book Domestical Duties back in 1622. He was describing the same problem. Uh, I think it's in the nature of women due to the fall. Ever since Adam listened to his wife, women try to rule over the man, and it can include browbeating, nagging, trying to rule over him, but he must still rule over her.
That sounds like a paraphrase of Genesis 3:16.
Exactly.
So it's not that I don't ever listen to Elena, but I'll tell you what, guys, I spend an awful lot of time rolling my eyes.
We know.
And frankly, what she's really saying here, I mean, she's taking CEOs browbeaten by their wives. That is very, very true. No less than Mark Zuckerberg. Oh my God, that guy is just totally and thoroughly whipped by his wife. It's that all men in all places need to spend a lot more time rolling their eyes at their women.
When I did that, I got called all sorts of names when I was married.
Oh yes, I did too. The few times I did it, my first go around.
Oh man,
how dare I do that? And guys, if you start doing this to your women, you will endure major slings and arrows and fire and brimstone. You will.
Women use eye rolling as a weapon. It has a great signal to women, a signal of contempt. They do that to other women all the time, and they will do that to their husbands or men as a sign of contempt.
Mm-hmm.
When a husband does it to a wife, it's not contempt. It's like, here we go.
Yeah, it isn't. I was just going to say that it means something totally different.
It's
literally
indifference.
Well,
it's
the difference. Yeah, exactly. It's here we go again. Nope. I might not say it exactly like that, but I also tell her no a lot. And she has a love-hate relationship with the word no.
In all fairness,
most women.
In all fairness, when she's saying that, you're not listening as much. You're rolling your eyes at her words, but you're listening to her emotions. And then thinking, okay, what's going on there? Sometimes you're listening to her emotions. You don't always dismiss a woman because she's not communicating the real thing in her words. She's communicating a feeling to you. and identify with what that feeling is. And if you totally dismiss that feeling and trivialize it, that's not good. You can't do that every time and expect to have a good marriage. You do need to connect, and it's not a verbal connection with your wife that's as important as that emotional connection in understanding what she's feeling, even if it's wacky. It has no merit. It's still real for her. She's feeling what she's feeling, even if it's not very well grounded.
So Elena hates it when I explain her feelings to her because she knows that the very next thing that's coming is an explanation of why I don't care about the feeling aspect of whatever, of my decision. Usually when this happens, she's feeling some type of way about a decision I've made. So when I do dismiss her feelings, and when I explain them, she knows that I don't always explain her feelings to her. Sometimes I just let her have them. But she knows that when I do start describing her feelings, it's because I'm about to dismantle the argument behind them.
Plutarch, how dare you not be empathetic enough? You're such a narcissist.
Yeah, toxic empathy is a thing, guys. And
I've had this happen to me, so that's
okay.
I'm just letting you have the same response.
I know, but there's a point I want to make for the guys here. There's empathy, but then there is choosing. You are still responsible to do the right thing for that person, even if it hurts their feelings. I can be aware of her feelings. I can understand her feelings. And that's why I name them before I say no. I want her to know that I understand what she's really saying about her emotions and that I'm going to say no anyway, but that she was heard. Okay.
Yes. Okay. This isn't 100%. A guy cannot understand a woman's feelings 100% of the time.
True.
But in general, a guy should try to understand her feelings. But in no way should that sway him to give in to her feelings. Because if you give in to her feelings, it will actually be worse for her and you. Because now she sees you as a lesser man who gave in. You're not the dominant leader man. I mean, this is complex thinking. It's not straightforward. It doesn't make logical sense in a male brain dealing with men. It only makes sense logically when you factor in women behave completely differently. They think differently. They react differently. They perceive the world differently. And if you understand that and you take that body of knowledge and apply it into your brain, yes, you can logically say, yep, I understand that. I still have to say no. And because it's the right thing. And number two, you'll respect me. And it'll actually be better for our relationship if I say no. If I give in to you, it's one step closer to the end of our relationship. Now, if she's right, obviously, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I didn't see it that way. Yep, I agree. You are right. And that's going to happen once in a while. There's nothing wrong with that either.
It does. And she remembers every one of them. I don't know if you guys, I think she's told the story publicly about the one time that she was right and I was just flat wrong. And she still tells that story to anybody who will listen. She loves that story.
Why does she remember that one?
Because it's rare. It's not like her shelf of times I was just absolutely right has a lot of entries on it. Has a lot of
Every
cans on
time
it.
she wants to say, go back through history and prove how right she was. She flips that Rolodex, but it always comes up to the same card.
Yep.
And what's interesting though is the church actually a lot of times does the reverse. They say, I've mentioned this several times on here in the Resurgence is, oh, your better half. A wife is more godly. She's got more wisdom. Was sometimes my ex-wife right? Yes. Many times it was passed off that she was right when she was totally wrong, and it came to bite me in the butt because I couldn't do anything about it. Because guess who? Oh, you're just not being loving enough. You don't care enough about her feelings. You just need to, love her better, meaning cater to her whims, even if it's a effing retarded decision.
See, that concept. I introduced this. The church has to get this right. Men and women are different, and men need to be in charge. There is a hierarchy. And until the church starts stressing this, actually voicing it, and making it their key thing to teach people, the young man will not, the dominant or masculine men will not be showing up in the church. And since they're not there, the birth rate will continue to decline. Your membership will probably decline. The number of births obviously will decline. The number of marriages will decline. And you know those mega churches? You can say, oh, they grew so much. Bullshit. They have huge turnover of members every year. Absolutely huge. They grow by 5%. They actually have 25% new members because 20% left. It's kind of a facade. And the mainline churches, mainline Protestants, and Catholics are not growing. Oh, yes, we're getting converts to the Catholic Church. For every convert to the Catholic Church, there are 8 Catholics that stop going to Mass and stop participating. Yeah, some growth there.
But Steve,
not going to change.
But Steve, they're growing with young men.
Good luck. I think it's bullshit.
I think you're probably right. Because what did we? Because we did a video on this a while ago now, and I think we said, yeah, okay, your numbers might be up, but once these based men get in the church and find out just how cucked it really is in there, they're going to leave.
Up and the so-called traditional woman's been run through, but she gets to have the pick of a lot, and they're like, "This is what I'm signing up for. This is what I thought the Eastern Orthodox Church was."
No, Nick, you don't understand. Eastern Orthodox is separate. It remains apart. Yeah, no, I know an Eastern Orthodox church that flies the gay pride flag. All right,
well, let's keep going. I want to get to Better Bachelor after this.
Okay, we're almost done with this one.
And they pushed their husbands to buy into the poison of identity politics.
We have to get gender equality here in the United States. It is imperative, and there are several barriers that hold women back.
Note the look of the guy who's okay, I'll say that because note the look of the guy who's busy fucking Russian prostitutes at the exact time that she's saying this. as we now know from recent revelations. He ain't buying a word of this, but he does it anyway because he is the one who's out banging Russian prostitutes, and he's looking for redemption. And he thinks if he gives this to her, he will be redeemed for his infidelity.
Oh, that's one explanation. The other one is, gee, how am I going to slip her that penicillin without her knowing?
Steve. You're far too cynical. Although that could very well be what he was actually thinking at the time.
And we have to really, if we're going to bring women up, we have to invest in things to help them with their power and their influence.
So why is that?
Why are females more left wing? I can't tell you, but it is absolutely the case.
All right, that's it for that one.
That's a great segue into this next one. Why are women more left wing? I think we can answer that question. Could it be men and women are different? Could it stem from something like that? Let's find out. Better Bachelor cites a study, and this is the second time I've heard this study talked about in the last couple days. Okay, this whole theme of the difference between male and female is growing. You're going to see it talked about more and more in the next 2-3 weeks, a month. Then we'll move on to something else.
Always on to the next thing, right, Steve?
Always.
All right. So this is Joker. I know there are people in the red pill who don't like Joker. Frankly, y'all need to get over yourselves about not liking people in the red pill. We've got a huge problem to solve, and no one of us is going to solve it, and no one of us has all the right answers. So let's just listen to Joker for a little bit.
We've got to add it to the stage.
The brainwashing has failed. Now, for those of you on YouTube, you may see a different thumbnail because it lets us try a different few ones.
You can move
and I never know which ones click
like
worthy enough. So I
or
try a few different ones. But for, we're not
140.
real hardliners on too much, at least those of the Gen X that I know. But the young people, they're going in a different direction. They've had the indoctrination, progressive indoctrination pushed down on them for so long and so hard that they're actually now pushing back, and they are against all the things that the progressives want more than anybody else. This comes from Pink News, which is, a feminist / LGHD TV website, but they write, men are under 24 are returning to the bad views, the phobic views of the past generations. Men born in the 2000s are far more likely to hold conservative views on LGHD TV rights compared to previous generations and women of the same age. Polling from Pew Research Center found that men aged 24 and under are far more likely to oppose same-sex marriage and even the gays generally than those born between 1980s and 1990s, which is just after my generation. I was born in the 1970s. Men are also far less likely to support LGHD TV rights than women of the same age. In fact, women are consistently more likely to be allies than men across all ranges. Now, part of this actually has to do with the hardwiring of men. There's actually a study that I have. It's called empathic neural responses. And what that has to do is how men's brains are wired. And it's men feel a sense of justice more than they feel empathy. And the testing that they did, I'll get into it in just a second, basically said if you punish a cheater, men feel no empathy for the cheater because they were cheating. And men say, good, it is good they get punishment. As a matter of fact, it stimulates the neural cortex of the man to see somebody that was cheating getting punished. And I would agree with that. If somebody's cheating or being the bad person, I want to see them punished. And that way, hopefully, they correct their actions and return back to what is kind of normal, expected behavior. Turns out the women feel empathy for both the people cheating and the people that didn't cheat that got punished. They viewed both equally. That's part of the problem that we have in these societies right now with female judges, female teachers, female CEOs, female politicians, as they said, oh, I feel bad for everybody that doesn't have an advantage, even if they are cheating. Thus, the situation that we have up in Minnesota right now, where you have the Somalis that are supposedly scamming people out of billions of dollars, and the women are like, no, but you still can't punish them. It's unfair. It is hardwired into women's brains, come to find out. Well, the same thing is happening here, that they're pushing this ideology and this agenda on young men, and young men are saying, you know something? This isn't fair to treat people differently than each other. We should treat all people equally, but now you've given preferential treatment to others, and we don't like it, and we're going to push back against it. And you can see it here. So from the 1940s, everybody's much more conservative right up until about the 1980s. So I guess I'd fall in the 1970s, which is an in-between. You know, some progressive things I think are okay. But at the same token, what's happened is we've been told, it's the slippery slope kind of thing. We've been told, okay, well, we just want the right to be able to date and legally partner. And many of my generation, or, you know, some of the other generations said, okay, that's fine. And then it was, we want the right to get married. Well, it was a little less support for that, but then it was, okay, well, then we want the right to adopt children. Now you're getting into territory I'm not comfortable with. I'm not comfortable with two gay guys, you know, adopting a kid. I'm just not. And then you start getting into, and we have to teach this stuff in the schools, and we have to let children determine their future of if they're going to be a boy or a girl at the age of 5. And before you know it, if you disagree with any of it, now you are the devil incarnate. Well, young men are seeing this, and they're starting the trend back towards conservatism. And I think this is a good thing. They say baby deletion should be legal. Men, the previous generations, most of the men said no, but then the men born in the 1980s, 65 said yes. 1990s, 67% yes. 2000s, 64% said yes, which is slightly less than the 1980s. So they're a little more conservative on that topic than men in the 1980s. Women should be able to marry women. Men should be able to marry men. 83% of women say yes. 71% of men say no. And that harkens back to before the 1980s, a little less than men born in the 80s. And then being gay should be accepted by society. Previous generation, 72%. 1980s were, 69%. And the 2000s, men are only saying 65% say yes, which is less than men born in the 1980s, not quite where men of the 1970s are. So they are progressing backwards. Men are becoming more conservative while women continue to become more progressive. Every one of these charts shows women in the 2000s that were born in the 2000s way more progressive than the previous generation, which was more progressive than the one before that.
There's this thing, people say, oh, young men are becoming more conservative and young women are becoming more liberal. Yeah, it's kind of true. Men are basically mostly remaining the same. Yes, a slight bias towards coming back. Maybe it'll accelerate. But women have accelerated their being liberal. The divide has grown because the women moved dramatically in their perspectives. The men hardly moved at all. But
that was Steve, you're referring to a study done by Pew Research, and it showed the political.
The one he's showing right here.
Well, yeah. The trend you're referring to is more clearly demonstrated on this Pew Research study. The men go a little bit more. They go a little bit more conservative, but not much. But the women are in the past 5 years just insanely left. Like they've gone bibbledy.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's what the Pew Research people study was showing, and it's a really cool graph that shows it. I don't think men are as prone to being taken and, you know, had, grifted, etc. Can they be? Of course, but it's harder. And I think that's part of what's causing the effect you're seeing here. Because men are constantly confronted with the real world, that they have to defend against, that they have to work with. It's a lot harder for men to go, oh yeah, I can just believe that women are just like men. Sure. So will some? Yes, but there's an interesting point here. The men that tend to believe that tend to work jobs that are highly disconnected from the real world, from the physical world.
Hey, Plutarch, can you explain the bandwagon effect?
Yeah, female. That's called female nature. She's doing it, so it must be a good thing. So I need to do it too. I need to get on the bandwagon.
Other women are saying this, so I better say it too because I want to fit in. From a male standpoint, all the other men are saying it. Should I join in? No, they're all fucking idiots.
Now, will some men bandwagon with other men? Of course. Their bandwagon effect works on the need for tribal self-defense. And because of that, it is possible to, if you can convince a man that something needs to be defended, you can convince men to band together to defend it. That is why the feminists are and were and are so interested in bringing men over to their side. It's why they have entire programs in schools that are dedicated to nothing but propagandizing men. The feminists actually, whether they realize it overtly or not, or recognize it, understand that they, at the end of the day, they are going to need men to enforce their views. Why do you think it's men who start shit at these protests? The women aren't the ones throwing bricks, it's the men. But they have convinced those men that there is something there that needs to be defended. And so those men are fulfilling, they really do feel like they are fulfilling their tribal duty to defend the tribe by doing what they're doing. And so it's not that men won't get on the bandwagon. It's more of a question of, can you convince them to get on your bandwagon? And that's harder to do for men than it is for women. Oh, shoo. I have posts for you on this. But I think if on the Sarah Stock thing, I think if anyone were to actually go look at who follows her, it's mostly, shall we say, non-Western. And I'll just leave it at that.
And so on and so forth. It's only been men in the 2000s, born in the 2000s. So in other words, men younger than 26 years old, that are actually changing the trend and taking things backwards. So based.
Watch my snoring disappear in one night.
And the study that I was referencing, it's from empathic neural responses are modulated by the perceived fairness of others. This is why you need to have men in the government. Now, I'm not saying this is the reason you need to exclude women from the government, but there's too many lists for the reasons you need to exclude women from the government. But this is why I believe our court systems, our prosecutors, our defendants, the attorneys, the judges, everything in our legal system should be men. Because men actually want to see criminals and those that perpetrate crimes punished, and women don't. We engaged male and female volunteers in an economic game in which two Confederates played fairly or unfairly, then measured the brain activity with functional magnetic resonance imaging while these same volunteers observed the Confederates receiving pain. Both sexes exhibit empathy-related activation in pain brain areas for the fair players. However, empathy-related responses were significantly reduced in males when observing an unfair person receiving pain. The effect was accompanied by increased activation in reward-related areas when seeing these people punished. So, very simply to break it down, they had players playing a game and they were hooked up to receive shocks. And they were actors, and two of them were cheating on purpose, and two of them were not. And these men and women were observers of the game. And when they gave shocks to the people playing fairly, both men and women were equally distressed. In other words, they didn't like seeing the fair players being punished. But only when the cheaters were punished and the fair players were allowed to play fairly women still felt that empathy for the cheaters. In other words, they felt sorry for the cheaters getting punished, even though they were cheating, where men actually enjoyed seeing the cheaters get punished, meaning they want fairness. They want cheaters being punished, and you reward people playing well by the.
This explains so much about the behavior with my ex-wife when she did something wrong and she didn't get the empathy. I said, no, you did something wrong. I don't feel bad for you.
Yeah. Okay, Nick. What happens when you go to court? And let's say divorce. The wife was the bad person, but she claims victim and she says, I'm feeling pain. And you have a female judge who doesn't want anybody to feel pain. What's the likely outcome?
A man still feels pain.
No, the likely outcome is she's going to rule to remove the pain from the woman, because women band together. Plus, she doesn't want the woman to feel pain, even if the woman was wrong. Oh, yes, I'll award this woman alimony. I'll award her the children. Oh, let's address this pain, because I don't want any bad thing to happen, even if she did wrong. So the man is absolutely screwed. There is no true sense of justice in the woman. Now, if you have a male judge, it's not that much better. It's a little bit better, not that much better, because men have innate desire to rescue women and to not hold women accountable. But women have an innate desire to not penalize other women or someone in pain. So whatever happens, you're screwed. But if you go to divorce, you're still way the hell better off with a male judge. You're actually probably better off with a female lawyer to kind of balance out the pain side, because the female lawyer, it's easier to rule against two men, your male attorney, and you on one side. It's harder if you have a woman on. It's kind of balances out. So I've learned this stuff the hard way.
So-called courts of justice, right? Isn't justice supposed to be blind? Yeah.
It's not blind.
Yeah. But this goes to show that women show empathy. It's this ruling by their emotions, and men have this sense of justice. That's why
Hold on. No, women do not have empathy. We say empathy. It's not empathy. It's placating and pandering. Empathy is identifying, putting yourself in the shoes, the situation of that other person, and understanding it from their perspective. That's an abstract ability.
Sure.
Looking at it from the outside, you placate and pander.
Being more like sharing emotions. And she feels bad, therefore I have to help her because she feels bad.
Okay. Yes, but then the word empathy has no meaning. It's just identifying with their emotions. That doesn't mean identifying with the reality of their situation or the reality of what they're going through. It's just placating and pandering, soothing their emotions. So
there you go.
Okay, I mean, I'm a guy. This goes back to the difference between principles and values. I go back to the core because that's the way my brain works. I don't don't I don't stop at the superficial. Values are superficial. Principles are deep. So identifying with their emotions is superficial. Identifying with their reality and their situation and putting yourself in their shoes. And then, okay, that's what men do in this study. Okay, I'm putting myself in their shoes, but they're a cheater. Fucking right. They deserve to be punished.
Exactly.
So they get what they deserve. But women can't do that. They stay at that superficial level.
I guess you can keep going. Nobody else has anything to say.
The rules and you punish the cheaters. And when you live in a society like that, you naturally are going to either correct the bad behavior from the cheaters, or a society sees you punishing people that are cheating and they decide, I do not wish to be punished, therefore I will not cheat. But when you punish cheaters and you feel empathy for them, like women do, this causes them to not want to go through with the punishment and just take it easy on the cheaters. And that in there and of itself is why you ask yourselves, when you see all these courts and all these judges given leniency, and some of those judges are male, there's no doubts about that, but they have female thinking. They are not a masculine mindset. They are not a strong mindset. They've been corrupted. They've been overtaken, or they think like a female does, which is what many of these judges are. But many of the worst criminals and crimes that are happening in our big cities have judges that do not know what they're doing. They have no idea of the law. And on top of that, they're female. And so they go very light on these people that have committed crimes because of their skin color, because of their race, because of their ideology, because of something. And thus you have criminals dumped out on the streets repeatedly where cops keep trying to put them away. Well, this
Irina Zarutsko is a victim of one of these. Just want to put that out there. Women hate other women. Look at the response that women had to that killing. Were some women like, this is a horrible thing? Yes, those are the women who recognized the threat to themselves as a result of this. Now, Steve, to go back to what you were saying about values versus principles thinking, most of the women who said, wait a minute, this wasn't a good thing, kept it superficial. Hey, I don't want to be stabbed by some criminal either. But when you start saying, okay, we have to lock these people up, they go, wait a minute. No, what we need to do is figure out what caused them to do this in the first place and fix that. And the men are sitting over here going, are you freaking kidding me? He's a depraved lunatic killer. You lock them up and you throw away the key. That's what you do with it.
I'd go further than that.
I know. I'm keeping it YouTube friendly. I have what I call the 50-cent solution. Those of you who know what you can buy for 50 cents know what I mean, but I have to keep it YouTube friendly. So, I was going to make it.
I have no idea.
Joke there, but I can't crack that.
What you're talking about, because I can't even buy a pack of chewing gum for 50 cents.
Oh, Steve, are you really going to make me spell this out publicly?
I'm just throwing it out there. Now let's move on.
Okay.
Accelerating stone.
Yes. Rapidly accelerating metals.
Oh, you buy them in packs of like 20 or more?
Yeah, well, I don't buy in packs of 20. I buy in packs of 1,000, but yes.
It's a cigarette, because you buy those in packs of 20 or more. You can.
You can get cigarettes in packs of 1,000. And they're just as deadly, although one works a little faster than the other.
Okay.
This falls all back to the main story, is that men feel that society is becoming unfair and it's becoming uneven, and it is rewarding cheaters, it is rewarding liars, It is rewarding people based on their skin color or their views of the world. And they say, no more. We want to fix this. We want to change this. We're going to change things back to the way they were, because I think for most of us that are older than maybe 30 or 40, who do remember the 70s, the 80s, the 90s as, our teen years, our high school years, our college years, our, party years, whatever, things were so much better back then, to the point we can't even explain, unless you lived in that time because you have no reference, that everybody pretty much got along. We didn't fight over politics. We didn't fight over gender. We didn't fight over ideology. We didn't fight over skin color. We didn't fight. We all just kind of got along and had a good time. And yes, sure, there were some differences here and there, but it was nothing like the all out and out war we have today. And I think the young men are seeing what's becoming of society, and they're saying, you know something? I don't like this anymore. Let's go back to the old ways. Let's go back and push back against the brainwashing. It didn't work. We're not in line. We're not going to play this game anymore. Good for them. I think they've got the right idea in mind.
Okay.
I've watched this video before, so I know that's the end of it.
Are men and women different? Do they behave differently?
Huh?
Yeah. Okay.
This is principle 0, the first principle of the red pill. This is why men started the manosphere, the red pill. They just came together. It was completely organic. They started sharing stories because things didn't make sense. And yeah, women behave this way. This doesn't make sense. It's different than how men behave. And then they started analyzing that. And the more data came in, oh, okay, we got a whole bunch of data. Okay, anecdotal, sure. Based on stories and communication and conversations among men, we started understanding what the differences are. Oh, yes, of course, there were the pickup artists. How do women behave? How can we attract a woman? But there were also the decent or regular guys who say, okay, I'm a failure with women. How do I learn how women actually are, because they're different than me? How can I use this to be a man that attracts a good woman? Not to go sleep with a whole bunch of women. I mean, there are those out there, of course, but not, I would say the majority of men came in to learn some of this pickup stuff, just to learn how women are different and how can I relate. So this difference has been what's driving the red pill. Why are the Christians and the churches so opposed to the red pill? We did a stream on this a long time ago. The descriptors are the problem. They don't want to acknowledge that there is a foundational difference between men and women with the way they gather information, the way they process information, the way they view the world, the reality that a man sees of the world is completely different than the reality that a woman sees. And most churches want to treat men and women as having the same, being the same, only in a different body, the same brains, the same capabilities, all that. And it's not working. You Christian churches got to realize it's not the same. The Bible does not say it's the same. The Bible outlines the differences. You got to go back and see the differences. And if you don't acknowledge this, your flavor of Christianity is going to fail. Yes, evangelical, yes, it will fail. Yes. Mainstream Protestant? Yes, it will fail. Yes, Catholic. Oh, we have divisions in the Catholic Church. We have the Novus Ordo, the regular Catholic. Then we got those traditional Catholics who go to the Latin. Well, you know what? On the Latin side, they are acknowledging more of the differences. Yeah, there's some problems over there. Don't get me wrong. But the typical Catholics church is struggling similar to the Protestant and the evangelical churches. You guys got to get with reality. What do you have to say about that, Nick?
Yeah, well, they're not adhering to reality. They're being a bunch of white knighting cucks. They think women are sugar, spice, and everything nice. Happy wife, happy life. And they go along with a lot of these women leaving their husbands and believe the lies. They believe all the things that they do just so that they are not shamed by the church ladies. Look, they've been deluded. They've bought into a lie. They need to follow the truth of their own scriptures, the truth of their own traditions, even, and just the truth of what they can observe with their eyes and the data they collect by just operating in the world. The problem is they don't really like the truth. And they're not really making anything better. But they say, oh, but my marriage worked out. Yeah, some do. Flip a coin. It might work out, it might not. Oh, my marriage worked out. Okay, when was the last time you got laid? Ask those questions. And then you find out it's actually a very small amount where their marriages actually work out, where the father actually rules in the house and he's getting laid. And that's a very small parameter.
That is the truth, but it's a very sad truth.
Well, Shu left a great comment here. Tradcons care more about social stability than difficult truths. And this makes sense when you think about the word conservative. Another way to think about how these people think is preservation. They are trying to preserve the world that was, in spite of the evidence, and this is my opinion, you guys probably share it, in spite of the evidence to the contrary that the world that was no longer is. So what they're really trying to say is we just need to get back to where society was stable, and then everything will work appropriately then. And that really, I think, gets to the core of what Shu's talking about here. They think that if they can get back to a stable society, then they won't have to confront the difficult truths.
The difficult truths is what made the stable society.
Yes, Nick. And I agree. And I think that's what Shu's getting at. But
yeah.
So will preservationists take the risk of exposing or promoting difficult truths?
No. They don't. They're trying to avoid that. And Shu, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on my interpretation of what you're trying to say. By the way, I can be wrong.
My whole point was Dabney called this out in like 1873.
Did he take a risk in pointing it out?
Yeah, but he took risks already when he was chief of staff to Stonewall Jackson. I mean, he was kind of used to taking risks regardless.
So who was the female Dabney of his time?
Female Dabney? Well, they were the first wave feminists.
No. The woman who, the equivalent of Dabney, saying what was going wrong, what would be going wrong if we took this approach and how it would work out. Who was the woman? There wasn't any. There wasn't any woman saying, don't do this because this is where it's going to lead. And I've analyzed, and here are 17 reasons why it's going to be bad.
Well, there were a lot of anti-feminist women, even up until the passage of the 19th Amendment, but I don't know if they went that far as Dabney did.
They didn't go that far. They didn't have the standing that he did. They didn't write the papers. They didn't have the popularity. Oh, yes, there were a lot of women, but they followed, I would guess, those women who were anti-suffrage were listening to the man and saying, yep, that's right, I agree. They weren't innovating. They weren't developing the arguments. They were agreeing with the arguments. That's a good place for women to be. Women can understand truth. They're typically not foreseeing implications. If I do this and it's going to have these consequences down the line, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. That's not a skill that women have. Very few men have it. A few do. But I don't, in history, there might have been 1 or 2 or 10. But the number of women with that ability is probably can count on 1 or 2 hands throughout the last 2,000 years.
Say you, Plutarch.
Women are what they are, and we just need to accept that.
Okay, let's conclude. We seem to the uninformed or uninitiated. We are anti-woman. No. All we're saying is men and women are different. We have different roles in society. Different things make us happy. Men focus on something. They like to stay up till all hours of the night into early morning writing code. Is that true, Plutarch?
Yes.
Most women don't want to do that. Great. So they don't do that. Women think they want to go into the workforce, but it makes them, over time, makes them miserable. And then in their 40s, they complain, I don't have a man. I don't have kids. What am I doing all this for? Okay, well, and then there's the high rate of SSRIs, antidepressant use, among women. And it actually increases in time, by age. So our modern thing, the modern thing women are doing is not making them happy, not making them content. So, yeah, there are differences. We cannot erase those differences. So it would be best that we embrace those differences, stop pretending they don't exist, and teach people about these differences and say, this is fine. It's actually good for a woman to get married young and have children and not get an education and raise her children. That doesn't mean she shouldn't be educated. She can read books. She can learn. She can pursue her own areas of interest. Uh, there are plenty of men out there without a college degree who are very smart, and later in life, like let's say in their 30s, that's not that much later, they actually study something and become very articulate in that. Education does not mean lack of education does not limit a person's intelligence or their ability to really know something well or their ability to think. Yes, education can benefit that, but not credentials. Credentials are kind of immaterial. So women should be able to do great things if they want to, but we shouldn't say this is your future when we kind of know by evidence by now, yeah, this future for most women, the career path doesn't end up in a good life. You don't end up content and happy. So instead of 50% of women getting a college degree and 90% of the women going into the workforce, no, that's not a good idea for you. You should just get married, have kids, and be under the authority of your husband. Now, that 1, 2, 3% of women who actually really want to do that, fine. I'm fine with that. Just don't encourage it. Because it's not, women will go with whatever you encourage them to do. And we're encouraging them to do the wrong thing.
Men and women are different. There you go. Case closed. Got nothing more to add.
Let's close this out. Plutarch, you get the last word.
Okay. Frankly, I'm not surprised that we tried this experiment with women. And the reason why goes back to something we said earlier in the show. Men are constantly willing to take risks to find a new truth. Okay? So we took a risk. We said, hey, we've never really looked into whether women can or cannot handle these things in a systemic way. So we allowed them. We did it. We tried it. But now the data is coming back, and it's coming back with oh shit, this is bad. And so now, as men, I give you free license to shut this down. We tried the experiment. We got the data, and the data says, no, God, no, don't ever try this again. Now, could we try this again? We're humans. We're stupid. Yes, we could try this again. But the most current experiment, probably the most broad experiment done, has proven that women are different than men in fundamental, non-negotiable, non-editable ways. And it would be to the benefit of both men and women if we just accepted that and started ordering our societies around that principle. And that's all I have to say, Steve.
Well, this was a fun discussion. It coincides or correlates with a lot of things we've talked about. But hopefully our audience enjoyed it.
I think that's it for today. Again, we have no idea what we're doing next week. I'm sitting on a mountain of ideas, but none of them are developed enough to bring forward. Nick, are you up for Googe Part 2?
I can do it.
All right. I guess that's next week then. There's also Saturday coming up. I don't know what she's planned. I know she's planning something. And maybe she'll put it in the comments what she's planning. But you know, the standard stuff applies to all this video. You know, we want you to share this with other men who need to hear it. As Shu implied and stated, actually here, I'll just put this up on the just put this up there. Wish the TradCons would watch, but they sure earned the con in their identity. Absolutely agree. But if you know some TradCons who need to hear this message, please share it with them. That is our primary goal here. If you like the video, I mean, you can leave us likes. It's a weak signal to YouTube that you liked it. If you have questions or you want to dive more into this, leave a comment. I don't always respond to comments on time, and sometimes I have to remind these guys to go look. So we'll get back to you eventually. And I think that's all we have for you tonight. See ya.
There was a firefight! Son of a bitch!